I heard that there was an assassination attempt on Wellington in Paris last winter. Could he be the target this time? That's one of my worst fears, Lucian said. After his victory at Waterloo, he is the most honoured man in Europe. If he were to be assassinated, God only knows what would happen. Somberly, Rafe considered his friend's words. Which is why you want me to convince your lady spy to keep sending you information until the plot is uncovered, or the conference ends? Precisely. Tell me about her. Is she French? Lucian made a face. The plot thickens. I met Maggie through someone else, and I know almost nothing about her background, but I've always thought she was British. Certainly she speaks and looks like an Englishwoman. I never probed further, because what mattered was that she hated Napoleon and looked on her work as a personal crusade. Her information was always good, and she never gave me reason to distrust her. Hearing the unspoken reservation, Rafe said, But something has happened that makes you question her reliability. I still have trouble believing Maggie would betray us, but I don't know if I can trust my own judgment. She can convince a man of anything, which is one reason she is so effective. Lucian frowned. The situation is too grave to take anything for granted, including her loyalty. Now that Napoleon is on his way to St. Helena, she may be feathering her nest by selling British secrets to the other allies. Perhaps she's in a hurry to leave Paris because she's earned a fortune through double or triple dealing and wants to escape before she is caught. Is there any evidence that she's disloyal? As I said, I always assumed Maggie was an Englishwoman. Lucian glanced at Nicholas. You knew Maggie as Maria Bergen. Recently you wrote me a letter, and rather than mention her by name, you discreetly referred to her as the Austrian woman you had worked with in Paris. Nicholas straightened in his chair, expression startled. You mean that Maria is actually English? I find that hard to believe. Not only was her German flawless, but her gestures, her mannerisms were Austrian. It gets worse, Lucian said with reluctant amusement. I became curious and made inquiries of other men who had known her at earlier stages of her career. The French royalist knows that she is French. The Prussian says that she is a Berliner, and the Italian is willing to swear on his sainted mother's grave that she is from Florence. Rafe couldn't help laughing. So you are no longer sure where the lady's loyalties lie, if indeed she can be called a lady? She's a lady, no doubt about that, Lucian snapped. But whose lady is she? Rafe was surprised by the vehement reaction, for Lucian was not sentimental where his work was concerned. Mildly, Rafe said, What should I do if I find that she's been betraying the British? Assassinate her? Lucian gave Rafe a hard glance, not sure if the remark had been a jest. As I said earlier, it's not a killing matter. If she's untrustworthy, simply inform Foreign Minister Castlereagh so that he won't rely on what she says. He may want to use her to feed false information to her other masters. Let me see if I have this straight, Rafe said. You want me to seek the lady out, persuade her to use her skills to uncover any assassination plots that might be afoot. In addition, I must ascertain where her loyalties lie, and if there are grounds for suspicion, I warned the head of the British delegation not to rely on her work. Correct? Precisely, but you'll have to move quickly. The negotiations won't last much longer, so any conspirators will have to strike soon. Lucian glanced at Nicholas, who had been listening in silence. Based on your dealings with Maggie in her Maria Bergen disguise, do you have anything to suggest? Well, she's undoubtedly the most beautiful spy in Europe. Nicholas went on to contribute his evaluation of the woman, but the ensuing discussion resolved nothing. Finally, Rafe said, The information we have is nothing if not contradictory. Obviously your Maggie is a superb actress. I'll have to play the situation by ear and hope that she proves susceptible to my famous charm. As they all got to their feet, Lucian asked Rafe, How soon will you be able to leave? Day after tomorrow. The most beautiful spy in Europe? The prospect sounds quite stimulating. There was a gleam in Rafe's eye as he stubbed out his cigar. I promise that I shall do my utmost for king and country.